welcome to my channel. Yes, it is disorganized, but I'm organizing it right now, and I thought I'd talk about that a little bit while I'm doing it. You know, talk about different knives and stuff. Um, I realized after putting the all the knives that I had in the display cases that I had, that I needed more display cases. That I had more knives, even of the small size, that would fit in the display cases. But I have these translucent, opaque, I don't know. You can see through them, not quite as clear as this, but these do well enough right now to start getting me organized. So I was gathering that up, and then knives from various places and various types of knives. And I thought, you know what? Once I get it organized, it's going to be great. I can just pull out a drawer and say, all right, these are the sunfishes. You know, I've been doing that in like little marbles boxes. See, I've got 3 marbles boxes full of knives, plus 4 of those trays here. There's another one I started filling up. Underneath here are the sunfish that I pulled out of a fishing tackle box. That was my storage for it before. See, the problem that I mentioned also before with having a large collection is lack of visibility and lack of accessibility. You know, if you've got something locked up in a nice big vault, that's good. I mean, that's safe and secure, but you don't see it, you know, unless you spend a lot of time in there. And it's the same way with, like, if it's in a box or if it's in a case. Unless you have a dedicated area or room, you know, where you can hang the stuff all up, you have to keep it contained in some way. And a lot of times that's a metal container, or that's a wooden container, or it's something that you can't see through. And as long as you don't have a big collection, that's fine. But, you know, the bigger your collection gets, the more you're going to need to be organized. I say, as like one of the least organized people around. But I mean, I admit, you know, my faults. I admit when I got issues and areas, room for improvement. That's the way we put it. You know, you have room for improvement there. So I am trying to improve this. I'm going to try to make it all fit on this table. And I'm also going to incorporate shelves. I think Gizmo was talking about that too. And I have been incorporating shelves and stuff, but I'm doing kind of like makeshift shelves. You know, I'm thinking, like, these are normal bookshelves. And then you start taking wooden uh, shelves like that people are throwing away. Like, this one's a really old one. I liked it. And turn it side. It's not bad. They've already had the little liner in there. It looks like it was made for that, you know. I don't mind incorporating things like that, but if you start like this one right here on the bottom, if you start stacking them on top of each other, they're not really drawers because they're not sliding out. They're stuck in place. So you have to keep in mind that they're shelves now. And if they're like that, yeah, that's good for containing a lot of stuff. But again, you've got to be able to at least pull it out a little bit to access it. And that's the same way with these. You need to leave a little, you know, like workspace room. Like whenever I was working around in manufacturing a lot of stuff, you had like a minimum distance of at least a foot around the whole area where you were working, just that shouldn't be cluttered with stuff that, you know, you could trip over, get in your way, and stuff like that. But anyway, getting back to this, like I said, I ordered another set of trays, and you know, even that might not be enough, but, you know, as long as I can get them for around $25 for 12 of them, that's not bad. Because, like a video I linked up in a post, I knew this was going to happen, but Dollar Tree is going to have to either go out of business or raise their prices, because $1.25 is not going to cut it for their minimal one. So it looks like they're going up to $1.50, $1.75, for most stuff is like the minimum now, and on up to $7. Like their Dollar Tree Plus used to be $5. So expect you're not going to find these at least for $1.25 anymore. Eventually, I don't know how long it'll take. Like they're talking about like March 25th in this video or something, but I'd expect it to happen a lot sooner. And all I'm saying is I'm just getting the stuff while I can. I'm not trying to send a sense of urgency to anybody, like, oh, you got to do this. You do what you want. But I don't like to be in the middle of something and like, man, if I just had a few more of these, I could be more organized. And that's the position I'm in. So, but I ordered them, and it should take about 7 to 10 days to get here, about a week. And in the meantime, I'll try to get organized. I thought I'd sit here and pull out a bunch of different ones, but I mean, just because you've endured this long, let's go through some of the sunfish. Like there's one of them right there. This guy was originally, let me put this in this holder. This guy was originally, I think it's a marbles. It's got a strong pull on it. Most of these type of knives have a pretty thick back spring. I think of them as like industrial strength canoes, because they're so thick. These were originally designed to be batoned, to smack on the back and cut a rope and stuff like that. But they're pretty neat knives. MR581. You can see this is the issue with bone. It'll crack, and especially like I didn't receive it this way. You can see with the die that's happened because of probably the way I store it. The more you bang stuff around. Also, with this, it's going to keep the environment from getting on it because there's all kinds of stuff gets on my knives from just sitting around. All kinds of gunk and stuff like that. And if you carry them, it gets dust on them. This is the one recently. Yeah. All right, let's open up some of the sunfish. So this is I think this is grandma's, is it? No, this is the one I got because of the fishies. It's a kissing crane. I think I saw this one at Tobias channel at one time, and I went, well, those are pretty cool, and I saw it, I believe, on eBay. But I like this little scenery right here. Made in Taiwan. Oh yeah, this is Grandma's. See, it's Grandma's. This is Grandma's knife right here. I thought it was Grandma's knife. Yeah, I found it on eBay, and I thought, well, wow, this is cool. Because at the time, there weren't a lot of sunfish available. I started collecting patterns. I was going for canoes. And then I thought, ooh, sunfish are like a big fat canoe. Those are cool. And then I realized that even Rough Rider, if they made them, they didn't run the series very often. Like here's another sunfish, elephant toes. Here's a little. You still have enough. The tan filling though. I think I dyed this one orange. It was originally white bone. I like this one though. No. Wow. Patow. Tested sharp. Rough Rider. Some of these, a lot of these I started getting off of eBay because I exhausted the supply of what Smokey had. And at that time, back then, I didn't know of any other places where I could find Rough Riders, So I just started looking on eBay, and man, that's when you get into bidding wars. That's when I started doing my discipline of, like, all right, figure out how much maximum price I want this for is, and be firm about that. Don't give yourself any flexibility. The most you're going to pay for one of these is $30, then don't let somebody bid $30 and you do $31.50 and just back and forth, because a lot of times you don't have very much time. People will do the last minute sniping of the bid. It'll sit there, and Tobias was talking about this. He's done it. I've done it too before. You just wait until the last second and you throw in what you think is your highest offer. So like if this has been going for like it's been up there and the most people have offered for it is like $30. Or maybe only one bid for $30. And the person that's put in that bid, the time's running out and they're thinking, all right, cool. I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get that knife for $30 plus shipping or whatever they had on there. And then right before the bid ends, it says, you've been outbid. And if you don't have an automatic thing or something like that, or you're quick on the keyboard, fast fingers, bam, you lost it. And sometimes it's only like 50 cents more or $1 more, and you start thinking, man, I wanted that one so bad. Really? Did I set my limit too low? Well, you also don't want to get in a bidding war, like if it's days before and you're starting to do, the bid's going to end in 3 days, and you and somebody else is getting in this bidding war where you're just jacking the price up. Then someone's going to dig into their pockets and eventually, outbid you. And they lose eventually because they paid way more than they should have, but they got the knife. And you lose because you didn't have deep pockets. But that's the issue a lot of times with this. Is that one that Tobias was talking about. I liked it because it was, like, ooh, Wharncliffe. And then I noticed that there is no kick because people were complaining about blade wrap because of these pins. So they put a stop. See that little ledge back there? They put a stop thing in there. And that notch right there is not so much as a sharpening choil, but it lands, I think, on that. And keeps, it's still got plenty of room, but keeps that from smacking there. Well, yeah, that you've taken care of one issue, but you created another, which is danger. I mean, this is the way you have to hold a knife, and whoa, danger. There's nothing to protect you. Also, if it comes back, again, you just got this little part that might push you back, but still, I mean, nice attempt, but, I mean, this is nice and rounded here, nice and smooth, and you're far enough away, but again, it keeps you away. Nice little, different take on he's got a little swedge here on the smaller blade, but, and then, this is the one when I got, I went, wow, man, I got one of these, and 1 of 500. Wow. And Patty's potato peelers, he saw that. And he goes, I wouldn't put too much chunk on it. Wouldn't put too much money on that being 1 of 500. And sure enough, yeah, they copy these a lot. But this one I believe I bought, said it was made in USA and all this other stuff. But yeah, that goes. But there's no stamp on it. The reason why there's no stamp on here is this is a special run of 1 of 500. Yeah. I fell for it. But this one I did get from China. And it's like that. Again, it has the 1 of 500. But it's single blade. It's got a little bail on it. And it looks nice. It's much thinner than the two-bladed one. A lot lighter. It carries a lot smoother. This is another one that I saw that Patty's had over there, and I thought, wow, where'd you get it? He said AliExpress or something like that. I don't think I went to AliExpress. I went to something. Another one of those sites, China sites, and I just looked through and I went, there it is. And I ordered it. But yeah, that's a cool one. All right, much time we're taking too much time. We're going through this one. Now here's just a regular plain. It almost looks like a canoe. Marbles. 581. What I like about the white bone is you can dye these, to whatever color you like. So it's a blank palette. You can also scrimshaw on this if you want, you know, because again, it stands out very well with white. And then these are the very expensive G10 ones that Rough Rider has. These are really a lot like work. My only thought on this, because I know how micarta is, this almost feels like plastic. They polished it so much. Well, this is G10, that's right. This is G10. I thought this was micarta. And I thought, man, this feels like plastic, but it's G10. That's why it's kind of inexpensive, I think. It's just a material, but still, it's really a decent knife. If you want an example, like you don't have to go crazy and collect one of every type that they make and stuff. You can just say, all right, if I find that I like this pattern or I want to use it for work, pick one of them, pick the least expensive, inexpensive one. A lot of times it's not going to be have a fancy pattern to it. Now this one's pretty cool. A lot of people didn't like it because it's got a light pull on it, but that's nice. This feels like more like a normal pocket knife. These other ones are like you really got to put some effort to it. It's still strong enough, and it's got a kick so that you're not going to get hurt like that, isn't it? You can hold it flat in your hand. It's got kind of a ram's foot, ram head or something, it gets bigger on the head. And then it's got a little Warren clip back here. Again, you got enough room here that this isn't too bad. I like this one a lot. I don't remember what his number is. If you find him, it's an older RR 2113. What's that on the bottom there? China, okay. And then, of course, this one, generally seen, this was, I think it was a Halloween one or something that they came out with. 581. Pow! Yeah, I could put some super glue or something on there, or I could just take care of them a little bit more. See, this crack goes all the way through both sides. You know what comes next. Although this pin is holding it a lot, but it, tink, you got a chunk of knife missing. That's why, another reason why, if you've got it in this and not just a cardboard box, you're much more likely to find it in the container or the plastic container than you are finding a chunk of it somewhere. A Koei River. I think this is a Frost type of knife. China. Nice and sharp. These are like the baby. I've got other ones, like I said. You run into the issue of, all right, if you're trying to show off all your knives, then they might not be in this drawer, because this drawer might be just dedicated to, yeah, mostly that one, but then you've got other ones that are individual patterns, like Stoneworks. But with this, I can find it a lot easier, rather than, all right, I'm going to have to go dig around in a case. And I don't always know where I put the stuff. And I could develop, man, that's a problem with these too, man, is getting that. You need like a mechanical assistance to get that little small blade open. The horseshoe stamp, I like that one. RR912. Tobias has got like the best, I think he's got the complete collection of Stoneworks, but man, they just keep jumping around. They had so many different ones. I just picked some of the patterns I like, but I'm not trying to get the whole series. You have to narrow it down a little bit. So anyways, that's not all of them. Like I said, there's more hiding around somewhere, but when I get all organized, I'll be able to have that set up better. But yeah, there you go. That's just a little brief tour of like one box, one plastic box out of a bunch of other boxes. And I'm going to clear this off some more. I was just pulling this all out, trying to organize it, and I thought, wow. As I pulled things out, I started looking at them and thinking about them and thought about talking about them, and you know how that goes. You can get lost. It's like a kid in a candy store with knives. You run into your collection of something. It's like a kid in a candy store. You're like, I want this, I want this. Well, you only got a nickel. So I've used up your dime. I've used up a dime of your time on this. A couple of dimes. So I'll get back to organizing, let you get back to whatever you were doing. So thank you for watching and have a nice day.